Hello, and thank you for your interest in board policy manuals. In this 8-minute presentation, I will explain the benefits and highlights of a board policy manual. My name is Suanne Miedema, and I am the president of Miedema's Board Consulting, where I help nonprofit boards improve their governance with best-in-class board policy manuals. I've worked in the for-profit sector for over 20 years, and I've also sat on nonprofit boards for over 20 years. I developed my interest and expertise in writing board policy manuals after experiencing firsthand the benefits of a great board policy manual. My email address is suanne@miedemas.com, so please contact me if you'd like to discuss how I might be able to help your nonprofit board. I am based in Toronto, Canada, but with today's technology it is possible for us to work together remotely. Here's an outline of what I am going to cover. I'll start with the benefits of a board policy manual, and then we'll look at how the policy manual relates to other documents, because it's often misunderstood. After that, I'm going to walk you through the highlights of each section of the board policy manual. There are 6 sections listed here, which I will be covering in more detail in later slides. So let's start with the benefits of a board policy manual. I could fill an entire presentation with the benefits, so here are just a few. Clear communication and proactive policies. The board policy manual captures a lot of what people assume and gets everyone singing from the same song sheet. More efficient meetings. Have you ever wasted time at a board meeting trying to remember decisions from the past or flipping through documents to find details like how many people you are supposed to have on a committee or whether you've got a quorum to start a meeting? Elimination of redundant or conflicting policies. If you've got files of policies and documents in various places, there's a very good chance you've got staff and board members working from outdated or conflicting versions of files. Easy orientation for new board members. For the governance or nominating committee, orienting new board members with a board policy manual and the other documents on the online portal is a dream. The board policy manual is ideally about 15 to 20 pages of easy-to-read material, and everything you need is at your fingertips, including an orientation checklist to make sure you've covered off everything the new board member needs to know. Definition and documentation of fiduciary duties. For those that have concerns about liability and legal responsibilities, this is the part that will help you sleep at night. Clear succession plans for key roles. Here's another good reason to lose sleep if you don't have a board policy manual. Do you have a plan in place if the executive director suddenly doesn't show up one day? As I said, these are just a few of the great reasons to have a board policy manual. Next, let's make sure we understand how the policy manual relates to other documents. This slide shows the hierarchy. At the top are the Articles of Incorporation, sometimes referred to as Articles of Continuance or Letters Patent. This is a document that is filed with the government and states what are known as the organization's stated purposes, or in other words, what you have told the government you are going to focus on. It is important for a board to know what its stated purposes are to ensure it is not approving new programs or activities that are outside of the purposes. You can definitely change or update your purposes, but it takes some work and a lawyer to do it. The next in the hierarchy are the bylaws. It is very important that the board is familiar with the rules stated in the bylaws, because the members can hold the board accountable for ensuring that what is stated in the bylaws is being done. Many bylaws require a special resolution or 2/3 majority to change the bylaw. Again, it can be done, but you need to know what you can and can't do as a board. Next, we have the Board Policy Manual. This is a document that is created and managed by the board and can easily be changed at any time by the board. Going back to our hierarchy, the board can't make policies that conflict with the articles or bylaws, which is spelled out clearly in the policy manual. Finally, we have the operational policies, which are created and managed by the executive director. The board should not be spending time on operating policies, other than through reporting oversight as set out in the board policy manual. So now we are going to dive into the policy manual itself. The first section is the introduction and administration of the policy manual. This introduction is fairly brief. It includes information about the jurisdiction the organization is incorporated under, how to deal with inconsistencies in governing documents, the frequency in which the manual is reviewed, who is responsible, and the level of detail that should be in the manual. The next section of the manual is called the Organization Essentials. These are the things that everyone thinks are common sense until you actually sit down to compare notes. Your purposes are stated in your articles of incorporation, so that's an easy one. The vision, mission, and values are good to have nailed down before you embark on a board policy manual project. Where some fun discussions come up is agreeing on who the stakeholders or moral owners are. These are people, partners, or groups who the board has a moral accountability to and need to be considered when making decisions. And then who the beneficiaries are. It's also good for the board and executive director to have a common understanding of the strategies and the strategic planning process. Section 3 is where your board is going to develop great governance. It's not just about fulfilling fiduciary duties. It's about what we expect from each other, how we are going to communicate, and how we are going to make serving on the board a great experience for everyone. It's called Board Structure and Process, and it covers topics such as the expectations and accountability for the board and board members, recruitment and orientation of new board members, the role of the board chair, board meetings, committees, code of conduct, and practical considerations such as board member travel and expenses. Section 4 is the one that executive directors usually like most because it spells out clearly what the board expects and the rules of engagement. A lot of friction between boards and the executive director can be traced back to misunderstandings about topics covered in this section. It covers the board's delegation to the executive director using the noses in, fingers out, or NIFO principle, executive director communication to the board, the annual performance review process, the process to follow when there is an executive director transition, and the management of the online board portal, where the board is going to find everything it needs to do its job. The longest section of the board policy manual will be the executive director guidelines. This section outlines what the board expects around staff, including volunteer management, finance, audit and risk, programs, advancement, which includes fundraising, and any sector-specific guidelines. This is how the board directs the executive director and sets out the expectations in each area. The last section is the supporting documents. As you can see, this can potentially be a long list, but you can think of these as tools in the board toolbox. The supporting documents are not included in the 15 to 20 pages of the board policy manual because they are separate documents and included in well-organized folders on the online board portal. I hope this presentation has helped you understand the benefits of a board policy manual and what it looks like. Once again, my name is Suanne Miedema of Miedema's Board Consulting, and my email is suanne@miedemas.com. So please send me an email if I can be of service to your nonprofit board. Thank you for your time.